actually those early parts of it. And then it's going to start just about 300 years ago as a French settlement rather than a British settlement. Usually we think of those English colonies along the East Coast being the United States later after they rebel and form their own country. But here, we start a little bit earlier and with a different country. 300 years ago, spring of 1718, all right, 299 years ago, the man that this street is named after, Sieur de Bienville, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne, is going to lead 400 colonists to set up a little town on what amounts to an island that is, in a sense, a big curve in the Mississippi River right here, and swamps inland make the French Quarter, the core of the city, look like an island. And he's come here to set up an armed toll booth on the Mississippi River. That's why we came into existence. There was a way for the French to create a choke point so they could control all of the trade on the Mississippi River network and its access to the Gulf of Mexico, keep it out of the hands of their rivals, the Spanish and the British, especially the British. They are going to plant this little town here at a spot that is so far inland, Governor Bienville is convinced it will never be hit by a hurricane. Yes, let that one sink in for just a second. Well, we found out a lot earlier than Hurricane Katrina in 2005 that in fact this place gets hit by hurricanes regularly. In fact, the first 3 years that the city was here, it got hit by a major storm each and every summer. The third summer, Governor Bienville's house was one of them, swept out to the Gulf of Mexico by those flood waters. Still, those Frenchmen, they hung on by their fingernails, and our little city slowly grew up. In the 1700s, it was a very strange time in world politics, and well, the city starts out as a French colony. In the 1760s, it's going to become a Spanish colony. At that point, the French were losing a minor conflict known as the French-Indian War in the United States, or what most other people call 7 Years' War. And rather than see those Gulf Coast colonies, including New Orleans, fall into British hands, they'll sneak the colony over to their cousins, the Spanish crown. The Spanish will run the city for 40 years, and I mention that because very often people forget that this was a Spanish city at one point in time. But you know where it comes out? In all of the beautiful old architecture that you see around you. If you look at this place and you're like, this doesn't look like Paris or Marseille, it looks like Puerto Rico, it looks like Havana. You're right, the old architecture is more Spanish than anything else in the city. And then in the year 1803, no one in the city is quite sure what country they're a citizen of. That's the year that we started off as a Spanish city, but Napoleon Bonaparte is in charge in France and puts pressure on Spain. Hey, give us that Louisiana territory back. The Spanish, much to their dismay, are forced to agree to this. And then he turns around and does one of the biggest house-swapping examples you can possibly imagine in American history. He sells New Orleans and a big French land claim attached to it, the stretch from, well, what's modern-day Canada to the Gulf of Mexico, from the Rocky Mountains to the Mississippi to the United States for a quick $15 million. That's the Louisiana Purchase. Yeah, it's about 2.3 cents per acre. That's not bad at all. December of that year, the French flag comes down for the last time over Jackson Square. It wasn't known as Jackson Square yet at that point in time. The American flag goes up and we've become part of the United States. Now, I point all of that out so you will understand this does have that little bit different history. Neat little place. As I said, all kinds of parts. There's galleries all up and down this side of the street. And the tapping coming back here, that's Bevelow Light's workshop. That's the family that creates almost all of these old-fashioned light fixtures, whether they're gas or electric. You see on these buildings all over the French Quarter. They got their museum. They're actually filling orders the way they've been doing since the 1940s over there. Very cool place to stop into. And of course, eating options. That's our major hobby. I was apprenticed with another pharmacist for 4 whole months. After that, if you could convince the guy to write you a letter of recommendation, that was enough to go to City Hall and get your operator's license. Now, if that sounds bad today, when you think about pharmacists mixing medicines, getting prescriptions filled, at that time period, they also do surgery, just minor surgery. So that was considered a great improvement by the day. However, this is a place where they're going to talk to you about leeching and about bleeding and about the history of the needle is used in medicine. I got to tell you, those early needles are about the size of my how times change. Neat place though, and has one of the best restored courtyards in the French Quarter. Well worth stopping in. But after World War II, this place started getting a new nickname. People are calling it America's Paris. Now, has anybody on this group been to Paris? Yeah, you know that's the most overblown description of the French Quarter ever by anyone. What they're talking about is the way that after World War I, Paris had become a little center for creativity. People from all over the world go to Paris to develop their skills as artists and writers and musicians. Well, after World War II, New Orleans was experiencing something very similar to this going on.
All we know some melody when we hold sweet Jesus, we will sing on the shout of victory.